What are signals and why signals are introduced in Angular? We will answer on this question in this video. How signals optimizing change detection process in Angular, we will also see on this example. Let's see now which components we are using in application and what we have inside. We have app component, and inside this component we have count property, which we will increase inside this method. This method will be called in template here when we click on this button, and here we will display value of count. Also in template we have first child component, and there is, let's say, one parent-child relation for components. Inside first child component here, the most important thing is that we use OnPush strategy for change detection here, and because that we will see how change detection works when we have standard variable in template like here, and when we use signal-based variable like here. It is not same, you can suppose. And what are basically signals? A signal is a wrapper around the value that notifies interested consumers when the value changes. Signals can contain any value from primitives to complex data structures, and syntax is next, signal, and we have value inside. In our case it's 0, and in template you can read a signal value by calling its getter function like this with parentheses. This allows Angular to track where the signal is used. And here to update signal var value, we will use this update signal var async method, which will simulate async operation like fetching data from API or some interval. There is interval function, and on every 1 second we will update value for our signal var. To update value we will call update method on this signal. Method contains an arrow function that takes the current value of the signal and returns the new value here. On every call of this update method we will clear previous interval because we don't want to have multiple updates on every second. One is enough. Same logic we have for our normal variable here. We will display this variable here, and when we want to update this variable we will use this update method here, and it will be triggered with this button click. Logic is the same as it is for signal variable, only we are updating simply this normal variable with increment operation here. Okay, let's see finally how this example looks in browser. Start application with ngserve and open browser, refresh page. You will see two sections. One is with these red borders for standard variable. Second is with these green borders for signal variable. Also there is one count here and this button from app component template. And what we want to demonstrate here with this you will see now. What are you expecting to happen here when I click this increase button? Count will be increased, and that's okay. What are you expecting to happen here when I click this update variable async? Let's see in template. Here, for normal variable, when we click on button here, this update method will be called, and inside, on every 1 second, we will update this variable value. Let's see that in browser. Click on this button. Click. We clicked, but something is wrong. On UI, we don't see any change. Why? We can notice that we use here in our component OnPush change detection strategy. And if you watched the previous video, you saw there that we can use OnPush to gain on performances. When we use OnPush strategy, Angular only runs change detection for that component in 3 specific cases. First case is input property changes. A new object or value is passed in from the parent component. Second case is UI events. An event listener inside that component is triggered. Click or submit, for example. And third case is manual trigger of change detection. You manually tell Angular to check component using mark for check method. That is Angular change detection method, which we will cover later in other video. But for now, we will not use it. So here is basically problem. If you're using OnPush and you have an async function like set interval, the logic inside that function will run, but UI will not update because none of the 3 rules were met. So that's the reason why we don't see changes in browser. When we click on update button, if we open console, we can see that value in variable is updated every second, but it is not displayed on UI. So how Signals solve this? Let's see. Signals add a 4th rule to OnPush. If a signal that is used in your template changes, Angular wakes up that component and updates the UI automatically. So if we go here in browser and refresh page, click first on this button for standard variable, nothing happened. And try what will happen if we click on this button in section for signal variable. Here, click. We can see that UI is updated every second with new value. Also, we can notice that update of signal will trigger change detection in whole template, so UI for normal variable will be updated also. You can see from this example, if we update our normal variable in some async function, that will not trigger change detection, so we need to use signals there to solve problem. And most in our modern applications, OnPush will be used in combination with signals, and they together optimize change detection a lot. Let's see at the end what will happen here in browser. If we click on this increase button from app component, refresh page first. Okay, and before we click here, let's click on this update to run updating of our standard variable. And let's click now this button. What is happening? Nothing, because we are using OnPush change strategy here in our first child component here. So that is useful to prevent execution of change detection where is not needed, because count data here in app component, it is not related with our child component, so there is no need to check inside this component. And that's it for this video. I hope you learned what are signals and how we can use them in combination with OnPush strategy to run change detection inside component and to have better change detection performances in our application generally. Please subscribe, like, and see you in the next video.